Welcome everybody to the Content Lab podcast. We are with Bennett Looper today. He's a filmmaker and content creator. He's right now the producer, one of the producers for Froning and CrossFit Mayhem. I'm super excited to have you today, Bennett.
I'm excited to be here. This feels surreal.
Yeah, no, I know you were one of the first guys that I was thinking about having here, obviously, but I couldn't have friends back to back to back. I had
Makes
to
sense.
wait a little bit. But yeah, dude, I'm super excited. You and I are probably. I mean, if I think about people I've shared moments with in the CrossFit industry, you're probably the one that I've shared the most like experiences and like cool moments, shoots together and all that.
Yeah, bro.
Well,
I feel the
let's
same way.
yeah. Talk about you. I mean, obviously, I know all this, but people are listening. Like, where are you from? Like, how was your life growing up,
Yeah.
family,
For those
all
listening,
that?
Carlos knows everything there is to know about me. But for you guys,
Pretty much.
uh, Carlos is like my older bro, literally. But so I'm from Pensacola, Florida, and I grew up kind of. I've always been kind of like creatively minded. Just growing up, like, not just with, like, cameras and stuff like that, just, like, anything, like, artistic, I was always, like, interested in that. Kinda the environment that I grew up in, like, my parents and my siblings, they really just encouraged, like, us to pursue anything, like, in the arts. So we were, like, always reading, always, like, creating, and that was kind of the environment I grew up in. Um, and when I went to college, I was kinda in that rebellious phase. I was like kind of wanting to shun my old self, and I was like, I'm done with the arts. I want to pursue something practical. I was like, I want to make money. I'm gonna get me a stable 9 to 5 job and like be practical with my life and just work until I retire. So there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. Like there's nothing wrong with that. Like some people love doing that, but that's what I thought I wanted to do. So I have always been interested in like sports and fitness and like general health and stuff like that. Like I started working out at a young age, and so I was like, well, maybe I'll make that my career path. So I went into college wanting to pursue physical therapy as my career. So I went in as an exercise science student, and for the first 3 years of school, I was just kind of chipping away at that degree. And I wouldn't say I wasn't passionate about it. I definitely like loved aspects of it, but I got to a point like 3 years in where I was like shadowing and like I needed to take the next step in my career where I was like gonna go to secondary education, get a graduate degree. And I literally remember vividly a day where I was like, dude, I was like, I do not want to do this the rest of my life. Like I was like shadowing different like physical therapy clinics and like literally like spending my days shadowing people that were going to be doing what I was going to be doing for the rest of my life, like until I die, which sounds depressing, but I was like, I cannot do this. And I literally remember like calling my dad on the phone and being like, I can't do this anymore. Like, and there was some time leading up to this where I was like kind of doubting and maybe this is not what I want to do. And I remember that day I was like, I don't know what it is that like I want to do with my life, but like I know it's not this. And in the back of my mind, I'd always still had that creative, like, side of me, like, on the side, like, even as simple as, like, taking pictures on my phone, like, editing them on Lightroom, like, simple stuff like that. I'd always been still fascinated with that. And so, I remember I switched my major literally that week, and I knew I wanted to do something creative. So, my sister was still at Sanford, where I went to school, and she was a journalism major, and so I knew I didn't wanna, like, switch my major to something, like, in the arts because like, I still had that mind of, like, "Oh, I wanna do something practical and, like, I want job security, blah, blah, blah." So, I switched my major to journalism, and I was like, "Maybe I'll get into, like, broadcasting or, like, you know, writing, for television or something like that." And I remember, it was, like, a like, completely different shift. I went from like super science heavy classes, super like anatomy, kinesiology, physics, chemistry, like all that stuff to like all my classes were all of a sudden very like subjective, very creative. Like I was writing a lot. I was, creating things a lot, and it was new, but it was like almost like a throwback to what I grew up doing. And so immediately I was like, well, shoot, now I have all these like different venues or avenues and roads that I could take with this career. And I remember one of my classes, it was a I can't remember what the exact class was. It was like intro to like creative media or something like that. And I still remember my professor to this day. His name's Dan Hahn. He was such a G. But
Shout
he
out
was like,
Dan.
yeah, shout out Dan if you're watching this. But he was one of those professors that was like, I'm not gonna give you a grade, like you're all gonna do well in this class. He was like, I want you to like creating for like the purpose of creating. And that was like a concept that I loved and that I like remember like applying, back when I was in high school. And so for this class, like there was like a period of time in that class where you had to like use a camera, like learn basics of a camera. And I remember like coming to my parents and I was like literally a junior in college. And I was like, hey guys, I was like, for this class, like I really need a camera. I was like, I can't afford one. Can you guys help me out? Like I hate asking my parents for like financial help, but like I was kind of desperate and I needed it for this class. And I remember buying like a super cheap, like Canon I think it was like a Canon T6i, like super basic. And like I just started like playing with it and like it just like came naturally to me. And I just literally like I would go out and just take take pictures of random shit and like learn from that and then just repeat that process. And I like fell in love with it. And at first it was like a hobby to me. And then it slowly started like turning into like, hey, like maybe I can make a career out of this. And um, that's kind of how the creative journey all started up to that point. So
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I kind of went through something similar. I mean, not that much in depth like that. Like once I finished college, I had an undergrad in business management. I had an MBA, Master's in Business Administration. And once I finished, I was already kind of like starting my own business with like social media and kind of like creating some stuff. But in my mind, I just had like, I have to find a 9 to 5. I have to work and make money like right away. Uh, MBA and everything. It was just a struggle to find a job. And I remember getting one in a sales as a sell, like pretty much just selling insurance pretty much. And I was like, sure, why not? I mean, there's a lot of people that do very well and people like it. I remember being there for I think it was like 3 to 4 days and getting home and I'm like, I don't want to do this. Like this is not for me. I always had in my mind that I wanted to like have my own business, like do my own thing. And again, as you said, there's nothing wrong about having a 9 to 5. I have a lot of friends that do it and they love it. And they ask me like, dude, how do you own your own business? Like that sounds so stressful and all that. They just like it, 9 to 5. They don't have to worry about, you know, the things that an entrepreneur have to worry about. And I just remember getting home and I'm like, I'm not gonna do this. Like it's almost like I was like almost depressed thinking that I was gonna do this for the rest of my life. And that was the moment that I decided, like, I have to, take that leap of faith and pursue what I really wanted to do, which it was just keep growing my business and all that. So that's kind of like similar
mhm.
than what happened to you.
And I
Um,
think a lot of it has to do with like personalities. And
yeah,
I think a lot of like content creators in this industry are very like similar when it comes to like their personality, maybe with a few
for
like
sure.
here and there that are different, but like that's my personality where like I can't be doing something like obviously there are things that I do that are hard, but like I can't be doing something day in day out that I hate. Like some people have that mindset of like, hey, like I'm gonna separate my work life from my social life and like my and I'm just gonna work, put in my hours, make my money, and then my fun time is gonna be outside of work. Like I just have never been that type of person. I'm like, if I don't like what I'm doing, like I'm not gonna do it. Like, and it sounds horrible,
True.
but like that's just my personality. And I feel like a lot of content creators are like that as well. Like they want to do what they love.
Yeah, exactly. Let's talk about when because you like the first time I saw your work, you did some like portrait stuff. I remember seeing some videos you were doing. Uh Definitely very influenced by YouTubers like Peter McKinnon and probably like Daniel Schiffer. I remember seeing a video, I think it was like a bottle of Corona, and you had like all the sound effects, the transitions, and that was kind of like my introduction to your work. And I was also in that mood of like watching Daniel Schiffer's videos and all that. So I'm like, okay, this guy, I mean, he's definitely put some effort in learning, because I mean, obviously I could tell that you knew what you were doing, even though you were pretty new at it, right?
Mhm.
Once you the first time you reached out, well, first explain how we met to
Okay, yeah.
everybody. It's a pretty cool story.
Well, yeah, can I go back before that though and kinda
Yeah,
like
and at that point you didn't do any CrossFit, right? Like
yeah,
you knew
not at
what
all.
CrossFit was, but you had no like you didn't know who Rich Froning was.
Oh, I knew who Rich was for sure, just
Okay,
because I was, like, familiar with the fitness industry, but, like, did
correct.
not know, like, anything about CrossFit, like, the sport per se.
Yeah, let's go back to the first question, then you can go
Okay,
about when we met and all that.
I'll go through the timeline because it's a very short timeline now that I think about
Yeah,
it, like,
everything happened super fast.
so fast. Um, so, okay, so, I was thinking about this the other day when we were talking about, like, the podcast and everything, and I was just thinking about it, and so I switched my major when I was a junior in college, like, 2nd semester junior year, like, I was, like, pretty much about ready to graduate when I did this, and my parents were they're supportive, like, I love the fact that they were so supportive, and I love them for that, but even they were, like, they're a little doubtful, and so here I was, like, a junior in college and, like, just switched my major. I had, like, 0 experience with, like, shooting with cameras, and in a way, like, I was like, I have this limited amount of time before I graduate. Also, my parents, like, they were like, "You're not gonna take another year of school, like, you're gonna finish out in this in 4 years, like, that's what's gonna happen." So I was like, "Alright, well, I have a year pretty much to gain experience, make connections, and, like, try to get some sort of experience under my belt before I graduate, because when I graduate, like, what the hell am I gonna do? Like, I can't like, I have to have some experience to show for myself." So, like, that put a lot of pressure on me to, like, just learn as much as possible. Like, I remember just, like, searching things on YouTube, just random shit, like how to change, shutter speed on like, on your camera, how to change, like, what is the ex how to change exposure, how to make a video look cinematic, like, basic stuff like that. And, like you said, like, I started watching a lot of YouTubers, just I was literally a sponge, just soaking up, like, as much information as possible. Um, and one of the YouTubers, like, I'm sure many of us are familiar with, Maddie Hapoya.
Mm,
He's
yeah.
very popular, and I remember watching one of his videos, and it was like a very, like, clickbaity, like, title. It was like, "Instantly improve your filmmaking," like, or "Improve your filmmaking in 3 steps," or something like that, and obviously, like, I clicked on it, and one of the things he said, like, has stuck with me to this day, and he said, "The best way you're gonna become a better filmmaker is to learn, make, repeat." So basically, that concept is whenever you approach like content creation or filmmaking, like you want to learn as much as possible, whether that be, YouTube, you know, reading, like watching other content creators, gathering information, take that knowledge, apply it, go out and make something, like create something, whether it be a spec project or just something for a client. And then you come back and you evaluate that content and be like, all right, what did I do wrong? What did I do good? What can I take from that? And then repeat the process. So learn, make, repeat. And ever since he said that, like I've tried to do that with everything. Like I'll like try to research as much as possible, create some content based on that, and then I'm always reevaluating. Like I'm like looking back at my videos and being like, what can I do from there? Um, so that's kind of the approach that I took when I was learning, and thankfully it was kind of a blessing and a curse. This all kind of happened right before COVID hit, and whenever COVID hit, we had like I remember like everything shut down. It was like spring break, our last spring break, and um, like school. We were joking. We were like, school's not going to shut down, but it literally did. And so we were all me and my friends were doing school from our apartment, and I had like so much time on my hands. So I just did that. Like every day I would like take my little T6i and go out and shoot some content, make some shitty videos, and then I would I would, look at them and evaluate them and go from there. And I think that period of time really was essential to me as a content creators because that period of time was pretty much like school for me. Like that's where I learned
Sure.
the most. Um,
Was your first love like creating films or just doing
no,
photography?
well, I knew I wanted to make videos. Like I knew
Okay.
that's what I wanted to do. But I think every videographer and filmmaker's first step is like stills. So I knew
Hmm.
like there's just so much you can learn from learning the basics of taking a good photograph. So that's kinda how that was kinda my entry is I was like, "All right, how do I compose a good shot? How do I take a good photograph?" And then from there, you can apply that to, videos and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like in the case with the Corona ad, like I knew I was like, I wanna work for brands, I wanna shoot some like high quality content. So I was like, I'm just gonna make something like cool that I like could see myself making in the future when I have a bigger budget, better equipment. And I remember taking my buddy and being like, "Hey, we're gonna make a fake beer commercial. Like, let's do
Just
this." And I
open the
remember,
fridge,
yeah,
grab one of the
exactly,
Coronas.
literally. And I was like, I remember like making like a little mini script, a mini storyboard, like, and that kind of process. Like, I loved that process, and I just took it from there and try to grow my skills with everything that I made.
Yeah.
So.
Can we still find that video on Instagram? I think it's probably
Oh,
still
it's
there.
yeah, that's another thing is I used to be so timid about posting my work, but, like, I think that was vital for me, like and this is something we can talk about later, but, like, the like, the concept of, like, making connections is, like, huge for me, and I think if I hadn't posted my work on Instagram, like, the shitty stuff that I did when I started, like, I don't think I would have made connections, and that's another thing that I think helped me a lot was, like, I was like, "I made this thing, like, I'm proud of it right now at least, so I'm gonna post it on Instagram," and people then get to know you as not just Bennett, Stanford University student, but, like, Bennett, Stanford University student, content creator, and so they start to and that's how you start to gain connections and get known as, like, "Hey, I'm this photographer and filmmaker."
Yeah.
So
That was my first introduction to you too, like, whenever I saw all that stuff, and I thought it was cool first because you had really creative stuff, like, I can tell right away, like, this dude has something different at least, like, not obviously inspired by other people, like, when I saw that video, for example, like, I knew it was inspired by other YouTubers, but there was something special about it. Like some of the shots you had, like the composition, the lighting. I remember you had some like night shots, I think, with a couple, I think it
mhm,
was, and
yeah.
those were really dope. You were using like lights that were like stores were like open, and you were using those lights to like create some really cool like side lighting stuff like that that just kind of like caught my attention right away. And yeah, it was like my first introduction to you. I'm like, this dude is doing videos, he's doing photos, like they're both pretty good. And you also, I can tell you wanted to learn, like you were reaching out to me, asking me for advice on like lenses, stuff like that. So it's like you were motivated too. And that brings us to the story of how we met.
It's a Tinder story. Oh yeah. Well, first of all, I appreciate that and that you saw that in me. That means a lot. But for those listening, a big fan of Carlos Bound. At the time, it was just Bound Media, and I that's
Was
all I
that
knew.
2019 or was it right 2020?
I think it was 2020.
2020, okay.
Yeah, because it was like COVID. COVID. It was like right as COVID
Yeah,
was
yeah.
beginning.
Yeah, you're right.
Um, so I followed Carlos on Instagram. Uh, this is back when he had like 3,500 followers, just uh, and because he was from Pensacola, where I was from, and I was like, this dude's from Pensacola. He has some sick content. Like, I remember like it was very. I knew you did other stuff, but a lot of your stuff was CrossFit related. And I thought that was cool. Like, I was interested in shooting like sports and fitness content specifically because that's kind of where I that's kind of the niche I came from, like being an exercise science student. And I still had that passion. I wanted to still connect it to my passion of health and fitness. Um, But I remember seeing him on Instagram and I follow him. I followed you, dude, for like probably a couple months and like you didn't follow me back. And like I was chill with that because I was like, I like this dude's content, so I'm just gonna keep following him. And then I remember one day he posted on or you posted on your story. It was like the new Sigma lens that you got, and I like really wanted that lens. And I like responded to your story and I was like, yo, dude, I was like, that I really want this lens. Like, it's so sick, bro. Like, let me know how you like it. And we we like talked a little bit about that. And Carlos remembers the exact wording, but I remember being like, dude, like, by the way, like, I'm like low key obsessed with your work. I was like, I'm interested in shooting like sports and fitness and stuff like that. And I knew that Carlos shot Beach Brawl, which was a local competition in Pensacola. Um, and I was like, "Well, dude," I was like, "I'd love to, like, learn from you, like, how you got started in shooting CrossFit, because like, I kinda wanna do the same." And you were just like you literally responded in one DM, you're like, "Well, dude, you wanna shoot it with me?" And I was like, "What?" I remember, like, I
Yeah.
literally I don't know if I told you this, but I remember, like, running up to my roommates, like, I lived downstairs, so I remember, like, running upstairs and be like, "Bro," I was like, "So I'm shooting this like, this guy just offered me to, like, shoot this competition with him, and, like, I'm gonna go down to Pensacola for, like, a whole weekend," and they're like, "Bro, that's so sick." Because like, at that point, I had not, like, gotten any, like, big gigs, um, and, like, this was, like, a huge deal for me, honestly, if I'm being honest. Um, and I remember you're like, it'll be a volunteer position, like, I can't pay you, but, like, we'd love to have you." And I remember going down and, like, showed up, and I was like, "What's up, dude?" Like, introduced myself, and honestly, we just hit it off from there. Like, I feel like immediately, like,
Yeah.
I was like, "This
Immediately.
dude is super chill." And, like, I just tried to, like, hustle and, like, leave it all out on the floor and,
Yeah.
just give it all, and, I think from there, like, I think from there, it genuinely, like, turned into a friendship because, like, I think you liked my work, but also we got along really well together, and so from there, like, I remember, like, the next competition was, like, a competition in Mississippi, and you were just like, "Hey,
Mhm.
you wanna come shoot with me?" And I drove down from Birmingham where I was going to school, and, it just kinda grew from there, and
And then weddings, we did a bunch of weddings too. Yeah.
yeah.
So,
So I
yeah, it
think
was it sorry, I was gonna say it was kinda, like, perfect timing too, and what you were saying, like, about connections and all that. It's super important to reach out to people and, like, ask for help, and, if there's somebody that inspires you, there's nothing wrong about, like, reaching out and being like, "Dude, like, I love what you're doing. Like, everything I see from you, like, gives me, like, ideas to create new stuff and all that," and you never know, like, at the end, it can be an opportunity, you know what I mean? But I
100%.
remember being perfect timing because that was the first year that I was gonna run the media team for Beach Brawl. It was COVID year, so obviously little to no budget for the owner. He had to change, the competition from the beach to the stadium. Do you remember when we
Mhm.
did it at a baseball stadium? And I remember talking to him like 5 minutes before that. He's like, "Dude, like, how can we make this happen? Like, is there any guys that you think that will be interested in, like, shooting, um, pretty much for free as a volunteer position?" That again, we can touch on that point. There's nothing wrong about it. The first ever beach brawl I did was a volunteer position as well. So, and it was perfect timing. 5 minutes after that, you message me. We can probably add for YouTube, not for Spotify. We can probably add the message, right here that you send me, the
Oh.
DM. I'm gonna add it. Okay. And that's what I'm saying. Like right after that, like you were talking to me before I was about asking for lenses and advice and stuff like that. So I already knew you had interested in like learning more, and then just seeing your stuff and like how personable you were and all that. I was like, this dude seems like the perfect person to bring to Beach World. And I don't think you had any sports stuff at that point. Maybe you did. You didn't? No. Okay.
No, I think after that, I did some stuff for Sanford, but I
Yeah.
dude, you rolled the dice with me.
Yeah. I remember it just there was something that I saw that I was like, this is cool. I think he'll be awesome. And yeah, I remember meeting you. It was a very small team. We had JD, we had Chris, and I think that was it, right?
Mhm.
So it was a big competition. We met Luke P over
Oh
there
my
at that
gosh,
point.
that's
He was
right.
he was competing there.
What a small
Um,
world.
yeah, and we kind of made it happen. Obviously, it wasn't the best coverage ever, compared to now. Like we have a much bigger team. But I thought it was a great learning experience for me and for you too.
Mhm.
And after that, like things kind of snowball and you start getting more into fitness. You had already portfolio and all that. And in reality, it all came because of that one DM that you sent.
100%, and I wanna hit on that too, like, I just remember it was like a shift in my mentality where, like, I just remember getting to a point where I was not afraid to, like, reach out to people on social media, and, like, if I saw someone's content that I liked, like, I would just even if it's just like a, "Hey, bro, like, I love your content, like, it's sick," like, I did that so much, and it was not like a fake thing, it was like a genuine thing, like, I genuinely wanted to learn, and I was, like, genuinely intrigued by other people's content, so, like, I did that a lot, and, like, I would ask people questions over DM, and, like, I remember, like, in Birmingham, like, I plugged myself into, like, a content creator community almost because, like, I started making connections with, like, all these different people, and, um, I made some closer friendships with, like, a select few people that kinda really helped me, like, learn a lot, and that's all because, like, these are not people that I met in real life, like, eventually, like, we met and, like, hung out and, like, they're now good friends of mine, but, like, if I hadn't, like if I hadn't been or if I hadn't gotten over that, like, being timid and, like, reaching out to people on social media, like, I would never have met them, and, like, you being one of them, just, like, as simple as responding to a story, like, could lead to, like, something bigger. So,
Yeah.
and
And
that
I still do that. I still reach out to people and ask questions. Like there's nothing wrong about it.
yeah,
I mean, it's also like accepting that other people have abilities like or knowledge about things that you don't. There's nothing wrong about like, asking hey for help and just learning from them. I mean, I
100%.
still to the point I reach out to people when the first time I was doing some like live coverage events for music, stuff like that. It wasn't too long ago. I reached out to somebody that really liked his stuff and he helped me so much. And then from there, kind of like I started talking to this person and hopefully, it becomes like future opportunities, just meeting people, making connections and all that.
Yeah, and that's the whole, like, idea of, like, you never stop learning, like,
Hmm.
you know this, like, because 'cause you're a good friend of mine, but, like, I'm so hard on myself, like, I, like, know I have so much room to grow, and, like, I feel like you should never in your career, you should never stop learning, but, like, me specifically, like, I know I have so much to learn, so, like, that hasn't
Yeah.
stopped for me, like, I still, like you said, like, reach out to people and, like, ask them questions, or I'm, like, constantly, like, looking at other people's content, being like, "Hey, like, what are they doing that I'm not?" Like, how are they
Hmm.
how are they telling a better story? How are they creating something cooler? And, like, what can I learn from them? So,
Yeah. And I feel like you're a very quick learner too.
I appreciate
You
that.
learn stuff quick. And one of the things that I always tell you that I like is that, I mean, there's a lot of, you know, a lot of people don't like the trendy stuff because more like, old school stuff, but you follow the trends very well too with the reels and all that. And I know that's something that you specifically do not love to do. Like you don't want to be known as like a person that makes like really cool hype reels,
Mhm.
but it's something you do very well. And it's
I
something
appreciate that.
that you learned how to do it like not that long ago, right?
Yeah,
Um, but I know this because I know you, but you're very good at storytelling stuff too, like making films about like documentaries. If people are listening, you haven't seen, I'm gonna mess up the name. A Man with a Van.
that guy
Is
with the
that
van.
that guy with the van? Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I think it was Sivan that said no. He has to change the name to A Man in the
Yeah, he
Van.
made it sound very Dr. Seuss, but yeah.
Yeah, and it was you guys have to watch that. Maybe we can link it to on the YouTube description underneath because you just really showed and you did that all by yourself, right? Like nobody
Mhm.
helped you. It was
Yeah,
just you and Seth.
yeah,
It just kind of like really showed that creative mind that you have that you
appreciate
can
it.
just the shots that you were making and all that. It was kind of like I told you I was very very impressed.
I appreciate
And
that, man.
it just kind of like that that kind of like opened more doors for people to know that you're not the only one that one person that will make hype reels and all that and like edits. You can also create a story behind a film.
I appreciate that, and I know it's like we've talked about this, like, off camera too, like, like you said, like social media to me is like a tool. Like it's not like I don't want to be like the last thing I want to be is like an influencer. Like I don't want to use social media as like my livelihood, but like I also realize that like there's a lot of there's a lot of there's a lot of growth and like social media can be a huge benefit to content creators and like you said like keeping up with the trends is essential and so like yeah I don't want to be like known as like the guy that makes like cool hype reels and like just keeps up with the trends but like I know that's what's going to bring people to like my page and if people come to my page they get to know me as a content creator and then maybe they'll like check out some of like the stuff that I'm working with Mayhem and like storytelling stuff that like we're able to do here like I want to point people to that like I don't want people to just like land on my page and be like, "Oh, he makes some cool shit." Like I want people to like go further and if following the trends can bring people to that, then like I feel like I'm doing what I want to do. And like I told you off camera, like I don't want to be remembered for like making cool 15-second videos. Like I want to be remembered for like telling people stories and like having an impact on people's lives through telling the world their stories. And so that's kind of what I wanted to do with like the video about Seth, my buddy who for those listening, one of my buddies here at Mayhem, he wants to pursue a career in CrossFit, and he is super passionate about it. So passionate that he built out an old van and drove it from California all the way to Cookeville, Tennessee, to train here at CrossFit Mayhem, which is like the mecca of CrossFit. For those of you that aren't involved in the CrossFit community, a lot of elite athletes train here, and he wanted to train here. So he had that dream and honestly nothing was going to stop him. So he, you know, he doesn't have a job, like he doesn't work, but he knew this is what he wanted to do. And that story really resonated with me. And I wanted to tell that story. And I was able to tell a small part of it because I believe that his story is not done. I think it's far from done, but I wanted to kind of make something small and little to kind of like tell people like, hey, this is this guy, like keep an eye out for him. And so that's the
Yeah.
kind of stuff that I want to be remembered for is making stuff like that.
Yeah, it was very well done. Talking about the trends again, I think it's so important to follow the trends. I have some friends that don't really like this topic because they just think it's dumb, but um, I
Controversial.
think I think it's so important, mostly because brands like there's so many people that reach out or like they find brands because of social media, right? Like all this, I mean, CrossFit brands and all that, like they don't find that like people don't find them on Google. Like they don't search like what's a cool no, I mean, probably sometimes they do like best drinks for recovery or I don't know. But most people find those brands because they go on Instagram or Facebook and they see an ad or they see pictures or they see somebody talking about it. And and for those brands it's important to follow the trends too. So now we know that reels reach a lot more people. So you see those brands making the reels, right? Um, Same with photography. I feel like there's a trend now, like the even the colors of like photos or like the way people compose them, a lot more vertical shots. So people ask me all the time, like, dude, like you take a lot of vertical photos. And I mean the reality is yes, I do. And one of the reasons why it's because it's better for social media. So whenever I'm taking photos for Mayhem or for somebody else, uh, they want those, to take most of the screen, the picture to, to pop a little more. So yeah, I mean, in my free time, I take a lot of like more horizontal pictures, but when it comes to like following the trend, I know that taking some vertical shots help. I'm
Yeah.
now like making reels. I never made a reel in my life, like a TikTok or all that. I still don't make TikToks. I've posted once or twice maybe, but
We'll get him there.
yeah. But the reels is like something new, like the
Yeah.
ratio and like editing reels and all that. Obviously it's not a tough transition, but it's something that I mean most of us are not comfortable at doing.
Well, you have to
Um
think about what what medium are 90 like I don't know the exact percentages, but like what medium are most people consuming content on? And it's
yeah.
this thing right here, a vertical screen and like I hate to play the game, but, like, if you want more people to see content, like, you have to, like, cater to, like, what they're gonna watch it on, and, like,
Yeah.
most people are scrolling vertically, and they're gonna be just haphazardly scrolling on their phone, and they're lazy, they only wanna see something that's, like, 15 seconds, they want that instant dopamine hit, they wanna see things quick, hype, and be done with it, and, like, as much as I hate it, like, obviously, like I said before, like, that's not long term what I wanna do, but, like, it's what people want, and like you said, like, you cater to what people wanna see
Yeah.
and the
And
content that they look at.
brands ask for it too.
100%.
Like some of the projects I've done lately, it's, hey, we need reels. That's it.
Mhm.
Like they don't want the horizontal video. Um, and I see it on pages that I'm on Facebook too now, real estate on, real styles. Same with weddings. I've seen some not full weddings, but some really cool teasers, just reels, and because people ask for it, and you just gotta follow the trend, and
Yeah, and something I think too, like, people that are, like, obviously, like, just to play the devil's advocate, people might be like, well, like, high production, like, directors and filmmakers, like, they're making things for, like, that you'd watch on a TV, or they're making, like, real commercials, like, and, like, I agree with that, but, like, so much of the filmmaking and content creator, like, industry is, like, it's not like it used to be, like, it's very much like a work your way up the ladder kinda thing, so if you're making, like, banger content on social media, like you said, like, brands on social media can reach out to you, and, like, I just think that making that kind of content for social media could give you that opportunity to, like, get to the next level and make something more high quality, something that's, like, something that would you would see, not on social media that you might see on TV, or, something like that, or like a long-term storytelling film, something like that. I just think it's helping people climb up the ladder and, like, get recognized by brands and people and get their name out there, so.
yeah. Let's talk about your the way that I wouldn't say you found Mayhem, because it
Mhm,
was almost like they found you and it kind of like snowballed from there. So, but let's talk about how that whole process started. I know it was like right after college,
mhm.
or I think you were probably still in college
I
when.
was still in college. I It was around, I think it was, like, April, and I graduate in May. No, it was March, and I still didn't know what I was gonna do when I was gonna graduate, and, I mean, I was really stressed. Like, I I didn't have any plan, and I think a lot of people are in that situation too, but me especially because, like, we talked about before, like, I had just changed my major, blah, 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 and so at the same time, I had been shooting a lot of things with you, like a lot of CrossFit competitions, a lot of weddings. I really enjoyed the CrossFit side of things. And I remember kind of at the same time, uh, I saw, like, I followed CrossFit Mayhem. I followed Rich on Instagram just because of his notoriety with the fitness community. And and so I remember seeing, like, CrossFit Mayhem post like a job posting like, hey, we're hiring like a video producer. And actually I had two friends send that post to me and be like, "Hey, like, you should apply for this." And I was like, "Are you kidding me?" I was like, "There's no way I'm qualified for this." Like, I had barely have a year of experience. Um, and one of the friends that sent it to me was like, "Well, you should because I'm good friends with the girl that runs their social media and, like, does their marketing and stuff like that." And I was like, "Well, shoot." I was like, "All right, I guess so." And he was like, "Send her your information." And it was like midterms, like a week like that. So it was like really stressful. So it had been
We're
like a
talking
couple.
about Jen, right?
Yes, yes, the
Okay.
Jen Fruitaker. Love her to death. But and it had been like 3 days, and like I still hadn't like sent my information in. It's probably slacking on my part if I'm being honest. And I was still kind of nervous. I was like, I don't know if I should send my work in. And she ended up direct messaging me on Instagram. Another reason having being active on social media is beneficial. Also, that friend that knew her was someone I met through Instagram. Um, and she direct messaged me and was like, "Hey, like, we're hiring for this position. I know, like, our mutual friend, like, he mentioned that you might be interested in this." She was like, "If you're interested, like, send your information to, Rory McKernan, uh, and, like, we'll go from there." And I was like, "Shoot, here we go." And I remember texting one of my friends who like I knew was like into CrossFit, and I was like, "Yo," I was like, "We're gonna make a video of you, okay? I'm gonna do it for free. I just need to have something CrossFit like video that I can submit to them." And she was
I
like, "Hell
remember
yeah,
that video.
yeah." And so I remember like I scrambled, like put it together in like a week and sent sent my information to them, my resume, had you write a cover letter, and they got back to me and they were like, "We'd love to have you out on a visit." And I came out to Cookeville and visited, and literally it was like not like any job interview I've ever had before. It was like I showed up and I remember showing up in like a collared shirt and slacks, and I like showed up and everyone was in like gym clothes, and Jen was like, "Yeah, no, this isn't how we roll." So I like went back out to the car and like changed to some gym clothes, and literally just like it was a Army Warrior Fitness weekend. So like there were a lot of people there, and I remember just like I kind of shadowed Scott, our senior producer, and like I had brought my camera and just shot photos and some videos and just kind of like literally jumped into the fire and helped like get some content for them. And immediately we clicked like personality wise and like content creation wise. Like we just clicked. And I remember them like offering me the job like at the end of the weekend. They like brought me to their office and they're like, "We think we're a good fit and we'd love to have you part of the team." And like, I know you're not supposed to do it, but I like accepted on the spot. And like, that was like probably like a month and a half before I graduated. And then it went from there. Like, that's kind of how it started. And, I mean, God is good. That's like, I give it all to him. And like, I was very blessed to have that opportunity. Um, and yeah, that's kind of how it came to be.
Yeah, I remember that whole process. I remember you being very stressed out too because you didn't know what to do. When you first told me about, Mayhem, I remember you calling me like, "Hey, do you know about CrossFit Mayhem?" I'm like, "Yes, Bennett. Of course." Yeah, I know. And then they started telling me about, obviously I didn't know at the time who Jen was, but you did tell me, "Hey, you know, this person, Jen, reached out to me, blah, blah." And I'm like, "Dude, I think it will be a great opportunity." Because I remember you also had a job offer here in Pensacola, right?
Mhm. And
Or
I
you
don't wanna,
were
like,
you
drop
weren't,
names, but they were, like it was a very stable, like, I would be able
yeah.
to come home, I
And
would
we
be able to live
knew
with my parents.
we knew somebody that worked there, that
Mhm,
was working there at the time, and I knew that he didn't love it. He was happy with it, but he wasn't passionate about it. And whenever you told me about this opportunity with Mayhem, that was before they offered you the job. Because I
mhm.
remember you telling me, you also asked me, "Hey, do you know who Rory McKernan is?" I'm like, "Bennett, yes, I know them. Like, it's okay." I remember you telling me that they need a cover letter, and you were asking me like, "You think there'll be a good opportunity?" And right off the bat, I knew it was like the right move for you to, if they offer you a job, you should have, like I told you, like I think it'll be a very good fit because even though I didn't know them personally at the time, I knew I knew what they were about and like how they were like very family oriented, and you're like that too, and it just seemed like a very good fit, right?
Mhm,
And when you told me, write a cover letter to Rory, I remember just saying those words. I'm like, you know, he's obviously talented and all that, but I feel like he'll be a very good fit because I know how Bennett is, how like humble, how how much of a hard worker he is. I think Mayhem is family for you. And we can go back to a cover letter. I think that's one of the things I told him. I told Rory. I said Mayhem will be family for Bennett. And I mean, I remember you telling me, "Dude, it worked out well. I think, well, they offered me the job, blah, blah." I'm like, "You have to take it. Like, it's a great opportunity. You're going to be with I mean, literally the most legendary person in CrossFit, which is Rich Froning and everybody else that's there." And, and obviously it's been growing a lot. I feel like now there's even more athletes than that, even though that was a year ago. But dude, I was super stoked when that happened, and I reached out to Rory after. I'm like, "Dude, I think you made a great decision. Take care of Bennett." Um, I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of like upset that you were leaving Pensacola because obviously you were my guy for everything, dude. I had a wedding. Hey Bennett, you want to shoot this wedding with me? I had a competition, but I knew it was the right thing, so I was super stoked and just like seeing the content and all that. It was really cool, and
And
also the guys you
we still
work
get the
with.
opportunity to work together
Yeah,
every
and
once in a while. So
the guys you work with also, I feel like you guys have a really cool connection too. It's
yeah,
kind of like obviously you keep it professional. I've been in the office with you guys, like you keep it professional, but it's also like you guys are really good friends. Like all
that's
three of you guys get along super well as friends.
that's something that like you just can't recreate anywhere else. And I was nervous about that, but like literally there's no office environment. Like I'm sure a lot of other like content creator like hubs for companies are like this, but like I honestly don't think there could be a better group of people to work with because like I am the way that I am with you, like uncensored, like just like myself, like I am with them. And I think that like that helps so much, not only with like workplace environment, but just like how we work together as a team. Like we can be honest with each other, shoot each other straight. Like they can roast the hell out of me like they do every single day. Like I'm the runt of the pack, but like, at the end of the day, like we got each other's backs and like we're gonna create some dope ass content and like we're a good team. So
Yeah. Yeah, you guys are really, really good team. Let's I was gonna say for those we were talking about the reels. So for at the end of the this episode, what we want to do, it's that Bennett's gonna, well, first of all, because a lot of people are interested. I have people reaching out to me like, dude, how does Bennett make those reels? I'm like, "Dude, ask him. I
yeah.
mean, he's the pro at it. So we were thinking about going through his timeline, one of the videos, probably the last one he made for quarterfinals. And Bennett's gonna go and talk about like his workflow starting from the moment he shoots, like what he's envisioning. Obviously, because we want to transfer it into a real ratio. So from that moment until the moment that he selects the clips and then puts it on the timeline, color grading, sound effects, everything. But that's only going to be available on YouTube, obviously. So if you're only listening to this, we're going to make a video that's going to be only Bennett going through the timeline of his video. So pretty much telling all his secrets.
Every last
Yeah,
one.
every last one. Okay, back to the Mayhem conversation. So you started working with them. How was like the first week, the first month with them? Do you know like, okay, yeah, like we have a pretty cool relationship here. Like we're gonna be able to create some cool stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like with everything, like I'm very much my personality is like I know immediately if something's gonna work out. Like literally with everything, I'm like I have a hunch, like it's just a feeling. And like within the first week, I was like, all right, these guys are like pretty dope. Like obviously, like you had to get the first couple weeks jitters out of you. But like literally, like the second week was a semifinal, like the Mid Atlantic CrossFit Challenge. And so I literally was just thrown into the fire, like, immediately, because my job description when I was hired was I was just gonna make, like, videos for Mayhem Athlete, like, instructional videos, like the videos you see on the Sugar Water app, but, like, I'd also help out with creative content, like, when needed. But, like, we only have 3 guys in the team, so, like, they needed all hands on deck. So, I mean, within the second week, I was, like, thrown into the fire, and, like, if anyone doesn't know, like, our workflow, like, when we go to these competitions, like, we go all out, like, we don't hold back, like, it's shoot all day, shoot event coverage, behind the scene coverage all day until the competition is over for the day, and then it doesn't end there. We go back to the hotel room, we have a dope setup, we got all of our desktops, like, everything, and we're gonna edit and put out a video by the end of the night or the next morning. And so that was a new like I had pulled some late nights before, like personal projects, but that was like, okay, this is like what I want to do. Like, I mean, you don't know unless you do it, but like you just get this like rush from like I don't know, it's it feels edgy. You're like, I'm up at 5 a.m. editing some sick content that like
Yeah,
thousands of people are gonna see. Like I just knew like after that weekend, I was like, I'm doing the damn thing. Like I love doing this.
yeah,
And so pretty much after that weekend, I was like, this is what I love doing. And um, since then, like I got the opportunity to learn from Scott, who's someone he's been like a great resource for me, and just we get along well, like, personally, but also, like, he's extremely knowledgeable, and so, like, working with him and with Ben, like, I've just learned a lot, and over the course of it'll be in May, it'll be a year since I've been at Mayhem. Um, I feel like I'm well equipped to, like, go into this next season, and, I think I'm gonna be doing more creative content this season than I was last season. Um, and yeah, I think this next season's gonna be dope, and we have some pretty dope things planned. So
Yeah, that's one of the things Scott mentioned too on episode 1 of the podcast. He said that you're ready to, take on more responsibilities. And but yeah, it's crazy. It hasn't even been a year since you've been with them. I feel like I don't know, like you've gotten better fast. Like everything's happening for you fast. You're only 24 years old
23.
and 23, not even 24. You're 23 years old. And I just feel like you are already very respected in the industry. Like people
I
know,
appreciate that.
like, people know who you are. And not only because of the content you make, but also like your personality. You're one of those that at every competition you're like smiling, meeting people and like talking to everybody. Like, obviously there's people that are that you might think, oh, like they're just being dicks, but it might be that they're just, focused and busy. It's just their personality, but you're
I
one
love
of
meeting
those that
people at competitions,
yeah.
like, that's
Yeah,
my
you're
favorite thing.
you're one of those that it's, like, always, like, talking to people and, like, smiling and being super, like, happy about around everybody. And at the same time, you make really cool stuff, so obviously, like, that people know who you are, and I feel like it's happened, like, really fast, which
It
is
feels
awesome.
it feels fast, like, I think I'm very hard on myself, like I said before, like, I still feel like I'm very much and I am very much a rookie in this industry, and I have so much to learn, so hopefully, like, after it has been a long time, I will have improved a lot, so
Yeah. I'm really excited to see what you guys produce this year. It's going to be awesome. Just the season, looking forward to what it can be. Obviously, there's things that we cannot see on camera on or in
correct.
video, but it's gonna be great, and I think people are really gonna enjoy it. And hopefully, I'll be a part of it too with you guys.
I think you will,
Which,
and I told
yeah,
Scott, "Many late nights in our future, many
yeah,
highly caffeinated beverages, and I'm ready to get hurt again," so
yeah.
I'm
No,
ready to
for
get
sure. Yeah, it's a really cool crew to work with, and I feel like Scott and I, and Ben too. Like we got along pretty well since the beginning. You mentioned it like when you first met them, you're like, "Oh, dude, you're gonna love them." They literally like pick on me like you do. Like it's like similar personalities. So yeah,
Yeah, so
like right away.
if you can imagine Scott and Carlos together, like, dude, like, I'm in a dark place, like, emotionally when they're
No, stop!
they
Don't say that.
they pick on me. No, I'm kidding, but,
It's because we
go
love you. We want you to grow.
exactly. That is cool though, like, going back to that, like, I don't think we touched on this, but, like, uh, so we hired you to be, like, our photographer at the games, and that was, like, a special moment for me when, like, we were, like, looking we were looking for someone to, like, just shoot photos for the games because at Mayhem, we wear a lot of hats, like, a lot of the competitions, like, Scott will be like, "Alright, Ben, can you take photos?" Like, in between behind the scenes coverage, like, everyone does everything, like, even now we have Jen taking photos. Um, but, like, for the games, we're like,
She's
we
very
really
good at it too, which is
she's a
impressive.
natural, yes.
Yeah, she's good.
But we were like, "We need someone just to take photos so, like, we can all focus on video," and I was like, "I know a guy." I was like, "I know a guy, he's been to the games, he's super talented," and, like, we ended up hiring Carlos based on, like, my recommendation, and I think being able to do that for you was, like, so dope, like, I don't know, it just was very special to me, and now, like, everyone here loves you, and it's almost like it came full circle, like, you helped me get the job here, and then, like,
Yeah,
now, like, you're, like, working with us, it's like it's been awesome.
true. Yeah, and it felt very natural too whenever I met them and whenever I met everybody because I feel like the first day when we got there on like a Wednesday, no, like a Tuesday, it could have been a Monday, I don't know. I met everybody that the same day. Like I went to the RV, Rich was there, Hillary, Sarge, everybody, like the whole team, and it was like I don't know, like a couple hours that were just like, Carlos, like come here. Like they were just very like welcoming. So it felt really cool. Like the day after everybody remembered my name and all that. So it just felt like, like, dude, I wanna do this with them more often. It just feels like, as I told you before, like without me knowing them, I knew they were very family oriented and all that. So it felt right away. So of course after the games I talked to Rory. I'm like, dude, like I loved working with you guys. Like you guys need me for bigger events like a Waterpalooza, stuff like that. Like I would love to. And luckily it's been a pretty cool relationship with all of you guys so far. But yeah, definitely it was a cool moment to like me help you with that, and then you kind of like put a good word on me and making it happen.
Yeah, yeah. Many more opportunities to come. I feel like we've developed a long lasting relationship. So
True. So what's next for Bennett Looper? Short term, like I'm saying, this year, obviously you talked about, the stuff you're gonna be making for Mayhem. But
mhm.
what do you see yourself doing, in the future?
Wow, that is a very loaded question. Um,
Yes.
well, short term, obviously, like a lot more storytelling, and long narrative work opportunities for Mayhem that I'm really excited about. I'm really like feeling passionate about what we're gonna do already. Um, I really just want to like I really want to create more opportunities for myself to like find a good story to tell, like I did with Seth. Obviously, like I said, like we're not done telling his story. Like his story is something that I think we'll see play out over the years. So like that's something that I want to continue telling. But I just want to be able to find more opportunities to tell stories and make work around those. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be in the CrossFit space either. Um, just something compelling, something that I can tell like a visual story. And I don't know, something compelling like that. Obviously,
Yeah.
right now it's in the CrossFit space, and that's something that I really enjoy. And I think we have some really great opportunities here, some really great people to tell their stories. Um, and so that's it's right now my mindset is very much like obviously I think towards the future, but right now my mindset is like in the here and now because I feel like I have some good opportunities with this team that I'm working with to like help create some really great content. And so that's kind of where my mindset is right now is just like, all right, how can I help like tell the stories of these athletes here and how can we like get that out so that people can hear. Um, so that's kind of what's next is
Yeah.
those big projects for this season. So
That's awesome. I'm super excited about that, and also just the Mayhem Media team growing.
yeah,
I think by next year, you guys are gonna have at least two more full time
yeah,
people in the office.
we are hiring another person.
Yep.
So yeah, it's gonna be
Yeah,
exciting.
that's
It's
that's great. Obviously, we've been on for an hour already. We
wow, it
probably
doesn't even
have.
feel like that.
I know we probably have a lot more things to talk about, but I mean, you can always come back in another episode, right? That
I'd
would be
love to.
great. Yeah, we can do some other cool stuff and talk about like different things. Maybe like deep, uh, dive a little deeper into Mayhem Media and talk about like how you guys create some of the content and all that. But for now, I think what you told today is pretty cool. And it's gonna like just teach a lot of people about different things. Like there's nothing wrong about reaching out to people you admire, and there's nothing wrong about asking for help and learning. You know,
100%. And yeah, for
so
anyone listening that's like timid about that, like don't don't be timid. Like that's like the biggest piece of advice I'd ask is like so many people, especially with YouTube. I'm not gonna go on a tangent, but so many people with YouTube think that like content creation and filmmaking is a very solo, like selfish business. And in a lot of ways it is because you see a lot of people being cutthroat and like doing things for their own gain, but like it's not. It's like a very like team oriented business. Like you get to a certain point where you can't do everything by yourself. And like having people that you know and like respect people that respect you in the industry, like that can go a long way. Like the stuff we do here, like we couldn't do it. No one person here could do it by themselves. And so just seeing that, like, don't be afraid to reach out to people. Like, it's it'll help you in the long run.
True. Awesome, dude. Thank you so much for being on the show. Really, really stoked for people to hear this. I think it's gonna be awesome. Everybody listening, follow us on Instagram at Content Lab Podcast. Follow Bennett at Bennett Looper, like you see on his little screen. You have TikTok too, right?
I do, but I don't really post on TikTok. I'm more of a observer on TikTok, but
Okay, yeah,
Instagram is where I'm most active.
yeah, and also subscribe on YouTube. Where again, this is just getting started, but I have some pretty cool plans for the future. So hopefully, it keeps growing and growing. So yeah, thanks everybody for listening. It's gonna be on YouTube, Spotify, and I believe Apple Podcasts. Is that what it's called? Apple Music? I don't know. Again, new at this, so I'm still trying to figure it out. But awesome, Bennett. Thank you so much. From here, we're gonna go straight into the timeline. So if you are listening to this and you're interested in seeing how Bennett, like his whole workflow from beginning to end for one of his newer videos, go to our YouTube page, the Content Lab Podcast, and you're gonna be able to find the video. All right, buddy. Hope to have you back in another episode.
Thanks, Carlos.